Great. So you've started recording. Great. Well, it's 10 o'clock, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Massy Connect session. We're so pleased to have all of you join us today from across all Massy regions, across the Caribbean, Latin America. Thank you for joining us, and the United States. As we approach the end of year, a time often filled with celebration, reflection, and connection, it can also bring about feelings of pressure, fatigue, and even anxiety. Today's session, "'Tis the Season to be Worried, Unwrapping Anxiety, Depression, and Seasonal Stress," is an important conversation about recognizing and managing the emotional challenges that sometimes come with this season. And so we're honored to have with us Dr. Diane Douglas. And I'm going to hand over to Darren from the Wellness and Benefits team. And thank you for facilitating this with us. And just a couple housekeeping rules. If we can all stay muted. If you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. You can raise your hand and you will be unmuted, or please use the chat as we proceed. So thanks, everyone. Darren.
Good morning all. Thank you so very much, Katrina, for that kind introduction. So it's actually quite befitting that we're gathering today on International Men's Day. As we know, it's a global event that not only celebrates men, but in my view, celebrates real men, real boys, and positive role models, but also tend to focus on, as we know, encouraging open conversation about men's health and emotional well-being issues. So, as Katrina mentioned, as the year begins to wind down at this time, many of us may tend to feel that weight of performance appraisals, as we know, financial strain, personal loss. I'm quite sure many of us would have had losses during the year. And now more than ever, the uncertainty of what is taking place globally, global events, whether it be from armed conflicts to changing weather patterns to government shutdowns. I mean, you name it, a number of things we have experienced in the year 2025. So we know that there's a lot of anxiety, tension, stress in the air around us. It's something that we just can't seem to get away from. And the expectation, again, around this time is that we have to stay cheerful, we have to remain positive. It's not easy to do that in light of everything that's happening around us. So it's no wonder anxiety tends to peak around this time of the year. Not just because of the season that we're in, but because of everything that I just mentioned. So today's session is more than just identifying those feelings. We'll unwrap the layers of seasonal stress. As we know, this is the time of the year when you have a lot of stress taking place, unfortunately. We'll explore how anxiety and depression can actually manifest itself in our lives. And most importantly, we'll share practical tools and strategies as to how will help us to manage them. So we can move through the season together, and thereafter with greater calm, clarity, and connection. And so it's certainly, I would say, an honor and a privilege to introduce to you our featured speaker this morning, Dr. Diane Douglas. Dr. Douglas is actually a clinical and community psychologist who brings a wealth of experience in the field of organizational behavior. So she will guide us through today's conversation and will provide us with actionable strategies to help us navigate, especially during this most challenging season of the year. So please welcome me, people, in extending a warm and hearty welcome to Dr. Diane Douglas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Darren,
for that introduction. I must say that I feel very much a part of the Massy family. And let me tell you why. I grew up with high-low. High-low was a staple in my family. My mother used to be an avid gold bond stamp collector. Do you all remember those days? Tony, I see that you don't remember. You're too young. Darren and Katrina, you all better nod your heads. You're not going to leave me here by myself. All right. Okay, moving right along. And so she'll get these gifts every year, which we just absolutely loved. But I think someday I will have to check to see if I got any kind of toxic poisoning from licking all them stamps, to put in the books to get the little gifts from Hilo. And I want to thank you for the comic book section of Hilo back in the day, where all the children used to gather around while their parents shopped in order to consume illegally this free books, even though there was a sign that says no reading allowed. But that's for another day at another time. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hilo family. Hilo St. Augustine in Trinidad and Tobago made me make sure that I sent out greetings to them while I was shopping yesterday. So Hilo St. Augustine, I'm looking for my senior citizens discount, having given the shout out to the wonderful Hilo St. Augustine. Of course, it's now called Massy, right? Massy St. Augustine. Okay. So let's talk a little bit, dear family, about what's happening in this season. And Darren very nicely, set it up for us. So I understand that this is the time of the performance appraisals, yes? And of course, there'll be the thought, am I going to get that bonus? Would also be in the minds of persons, yes? He also spoke about issues of grief and loss. So for example, right now, a group of us friends are dealing with the possibility that one of our friends, this might be her last Christmas, as she battles stage 4B cancer. Yes, I don't know what your losses may have been at this time of year. And so when there is so much in the air about decorations and Christmas and gifts and so forth, there are those persons where this time of year brings the memory of a loss. It could be the loss of a marriage. It could be the loss of a relative. It could be the loss of a relationship. It could be so many different things. And so while there are festivities in the air, what you are remembering is that major loss in your life. And then, of course, something that people don't talk about this time of year is the influx of family that you may not necessarily like, So you might be thinking of all the family that you love, we're going to get together, but there is always that uncle, that cousin, or some aunt, maybe a sibling that you're saying, help me, Jesus. I have to deal with that person this year. All right? Yes? Or one where you say to yourself, I have to watch that relative around my children. I have to keep an eye on that person. And then it is also the end of the year. So you might be thinking about resolutions that you want to make for 2026 and other decisions. Maybe you are in a toxic relationship and you've said to yourself, 2026 is not finding me here. I have some decisions to make. I think of one person who said to me, this time last year, I gathered up the children and I left because I was no longer going to take domestic violence. So this time of year can be a time of some serious reflection, some serious worry, memories of loss, and maybe endings and possibly new beginnings. Yes? So here's what I want to do today. I want us to take a look at 5 strategies to successfully navigate this season. Yes? So Tony Ray, I had some slides. I don't know if you want to put them up. It's up to you. Yes, we have some slides, okay? So we're talking about navigating this season, all right? Yes, 5 strategies. And the reason why I'm going to boil it down to 5 is because it can become so complex and overwhelming that I thought I'd make it very manageable. All right? Yes. Okay. So let's go to the next slide, Tony. All right. So I have a friend who is a magistrate. She's a senior magistrate. And she said to me, Diane, there is not enough wisdom in this world. So many times when I'm sitting on the bench, she said, we hear of bad advice that people have been given. And so for today, I want to throw my hat in the ring to give some good tips, maybe some good, healthy advice to help us navigate through this time. All right? So you see, tip number 1 or strategy number 1, acknowledge that life is messy and reset expectations. Let me say that again. Acknowledge that life is messy and reset expectations. All right? One way to be sure to be depressed and to become anxious, and depression is that feeling sad, and sometimes we say blue, that emotional experience we have where things do not seem as enjoyable as they used to. That time where we feel so discouraged, that is depression. For some people, just getting out the bed in the morning becomes difficult. It's like a weight, depression, upon your very spirit. Yes? And anxiety is that feeling of a catastrophe is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. This sense of foreboding. That is what anxiety is all about. Worry, you tense, you on the edge. Yes? So we're talking about strategies to deal with all that comes with the season and to manage that depression and anxiety that comes with it. All right? So when I say to acknowledge that life is messy, yes, I think of a dear, hardworking, skilled professional who is planning to leave her home due to threats of domestic violence from her divorced partner. And she sat with me and she said, oh my goodness, my children have to go through all this when they should be happy, when they should be thinking about childhood things, when they should be thinking about Christmas. And I said to her, I would recommend that you do not stay too long in that place of going on and on about your poor children. And you might say to me, but Dr. Douglas, what are you talking about? Children shouldn't have to bear the burden of domestic violence. I fully agree with you. But here's what we're talking about: resilience. We are talking about that ability to rise up no matter what you have to face. Because guess what? She has to face safety issues and make a plan for her family. So she has to grieve, and that is true, the reality of a dream that is not being fulfilled. You see, that dream of what a marriage is supposed to bring for you, that dream of what family life was supposed to be, that dream of if I work hard, then everything should be okay. That belief that bad things don't happen to good people. You see, when you stay in that place, and grieve we must, but do not stay in the grieving for too long, where you wrap up in it and you roll up in it and you sit down in it, and all your energy is put to grief alone. Remember, I'm not saying don't grieve. What I'm talking about is for how long. You see? Because if she has to make movements for her personal safety and that of her children, she needs to then face the reality that life is messy. Use the energy into accepting that life is messy and reset her expectations. So her expectation was for her children to live in a lovely world, an idyllic world, a world where children could just be children. Yes, but now she has to reframe that in order to function, and that is, my children will be safe. My children will learn how to keep themselves safe very early in life. My children would recognize that there could be a pool of support around them as they choose with me to be safe. You see, you have to reset the expectations that you once had when you are going through a difficult space. Yes? So, acknowledge that life is messy and reset the expectations. All right, let's go on to strategy 2. Let's look at the second strategy. All right? And this strategy is about knowing yourself and accepting yourself. You say, oh my goodness, what does that have to do with struggling with issues in this season? Right. One of the things I absolutely love, it comes out of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes, Alcoholics Anonymous is a group of persons who have recognized their addiction to alcohol, to intoxicating drinks. Yes, and so they have chosen not to drink anymore, and they have grouped themselves together to be able to find support to stay, as they call, clean and sober. They have 12 steps to sobriety. And step number 4 is one of my favorites. And it goes like this. Make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. You see, my dear Massy family, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, the region, US, South America, my dear Massy family, one of the best things we could do in life is to make a study of ourselves and to become self-aware. You see? So when you're going through something that is difficult, it is always important to stop. You see, you could get all caught up in it, find yourself tossed to and fro and just reacting. There is this benefit, my dear family, of stopping and focusing on you. Yes? And getting in touch with you and asking yourself, what is causing me to be depressed? What is my true pain? What am I anxious about? What am I afraid to face? What are the things that I am never going to let go, no matter what my circumstance, because these are things that I value? What are the things in my life that would be a non-negotiable? I'm not going to negotiate these things. They are going to be stable in my life. See, you know, we have a calypso here in Trinidad and Tobago, well, soca, you know, drink water and mind my business. Drink the water and mind your business. Whenever you're going through things that make you wobble, that shake you, always stop and get back in tune with yourself, right? You know, we talk about emotional intelligence, and one of the key components of emotional intelligence is knowing yourself. But guess what? It's not enough to know you. It is also important for you to accept you. You have to accept you. Too many times we're looking at the grass that is greener on the other side. Too many times, especially with social media, we are assuming that all the other people have it good because they're grinning on every single podcast, on every single TikTok, on every single Instagram, and we could go on. They always seem, some of them, to be happy. Yes? But guess what? You have to accept you. And when we say accept you, not what you wish you could be, but you always have to start off from a place of self-acceptance. So let me give you a little joke. I remember when I was in high school, you know, and I would watch those girls in my class or in my school sports day, and they could run, some of them running like the wind. Not me. I knew that the race for me was the bun eating race. I could eat a bun in quick succession and win a medal. I could also do shot put, right? Where you take this heavy ball and pelt it over the line. You stand up in one spot and you pelt the ball. I have medals in these things. But if I did not accept me, I would say that I am supposed to run like the wind. That's not me. I'm not supposed to run like the wind. And you see, God called me to a profession where I get to sit down. You see? See? Sit down in an air-conditioned office. You see, God knew exactly who he made. Yes, I will exercise. I exercise. But I do sit in an air-conditioned office a good portion of my profession. So you have to know yourself when you're going through difficulty, especially in this season, and accept yourself. All right? Okay. So you all with me? How we sounding so far? Give me a little okay. Oh gosh, I see a little clap hand come up there. Nice. Thumbs up. That is it. Excellent. Okay. Now we go in to number 3. All right. Tony Ray, where your sister girlfriend? You there? Give me number 3. All right, people.
She
Number
can't
3.
see.
Yes. She can't see me.
Amanda's saying hello.
Am I seeing Amanda? Amanda is the one people who made me come here today. Yes, Amanda.
I see,
Amanda.
Doc, that Indira had her hand up, but do we want to keep it till the end or?
Let's keep the questions till the end.
Okay,
All
if
right.
that's okay, Indira. Yeah.
Right. So, Indira, I just have 2 more after 3 to go. Number 3, take ownership of your life. Oh gosh, my dear Massy family. My dear Massy family. If you don't remember anything else from what we spoke about today, take ownership of your life. You see? So after you accept you, the next thing you have to look at is your life. As adults, nobody is coming to rescue us. Nobody. And when I work with women in particular who have been abused, who have been victimized by domestic violence, we talk about taking ownership of your life. Nobody is coming to rescue. All right? So you have to take ownership. This is my life. All right? And because it is mine and I am an adult, I am going to take ownership of this life that God has given me. All right? So you have to name whatever is the thing that is troubling you. You have to name it. You have to identify it. Don't be all over the place. You look it straight in the eye. And I'll tell you something. In the times of my life where I've had to look certain pains straight in the eye, as you can hear, I definitely believe in God. And so I would be praying and I might call a friend and I say, I'm going to look at something difficult. I want you to stand with me right now. Or I might pray and I might say, God, don't leave me alone right now. I am going to look at something difficult in the eye. And I'm going to name it and I'm going to identify it. Once you do that, my dear Massy family, you have to now make a decision. And here's the decision. You have to decide that you're going to survive it. This is the same thing we spoke about when COVID hit and we didn't know where COVID came out of. Well, some said China, right? We didn't know where it came from. Yes? But you have to make that decision. And we have seen, yes, we have seen that decision in times of real trauma and violation historically, whether it's the Holocaust, whether it's slavery, we have realized that the people who survived made a decision. Because when you make a decision, your whole being comes into alignment. Your body, your soul, your spirit, your mind just comes into alignment. Yes? Right? And so it becomes easier. We didn't say it's not difficult, but easier to keep going. All right? So you have to make a decision to survive. But then after you survive, you have to make a decision to thrive. In other words, just like with the grieving process, grieve we must, but we must not stay there forever. How long it is for each person is different. All right? It's different. And then as we take ownership of our life, we must have what we call self-compassion. Too many of us are so awful to ourselves and how we think of ourselves. We are always riddled by guilt and shame. I think that is something I have had to look at in my own life. And let me tell you where it stemmed from. My dear mother, God rest her soul, She had, my father and mother, 6 children. 5 were 1 year apart, one after the other. You know, back in those days, they didn't have TV. We used to have 2 channels, 2 and 13. That didn't seem to be enough. So plenty children. And then one came some years after, all right? So you have these 6 children. My mother used to be big on don't make me feel shame. So when we're going to go across by the neighbors to play, she would always check us over the clothes we have on, because she had 4 girls. That's to say enough. So she will check us over to make sure the clothes are okay. And when we came back from playing, she will ask some questions to make sure we were well behaved. And if we weren't well behaved, licks in your skin. All right? Yes? So what would happen is that there would be this rehearsal in my mind after something occurred, some event occurred, checking me. And I had to get rid of that. You can't live your life like that all the time. So there'll be guilt and shame. Some of us are riddled with guilt and shame. And we need to have some self-compassion. Some of us push ourselves too hard. You want to buy all these fancy and expensive gifts for Christmas and have the best food and the best curtains and all these crazy things, and then you can't even enjoy the season. I know whole families now where they give each other notes of the gift they would like to get the other, and they wait for Boxing Day when the same, and then buy the gifts at that point in time. Just not to be stressed. Yes, just not to be stressed. All right? Remember to recover, renew, and center yourself every day. And this one, Massy, forgive me, not everywhere things moving smooth, because you're human. So I'm not going to assume that it is all kumbaya at work. But for those who have who have challenges at work, one of the things to do in this season, because remember, when Massy ham comes out, all you know what starts to happen to Massy stores, at least that part of Massy that deals with food. People breaking down your door and all these crazy things going to happen, right? Because of ham. Think about it, all right? Yes? And so what you have to do is center yourself before you enter any office space that tends to be traumatic for you. Center yourself. And please don't isolate yourselves. Remember, you have to be quiet to get back in touch with you, drink your water and mind your business, right? But you also need support. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right. Tony, we're going to number 4. Number 4, right? Number 4. People, stop seeing work as the enemy. For those from the Caribbean region, oh God, it's a little something we have, you know, where the lime, the after work lime is the real life. You know, being away from work is the real life. And we try to see work as the enemy. But I'll tell you something. It is something that we have to stop. All right? It is something that we have to stop. I'm not saying that you stay in a toxic work situation. All right? What I'm talking about is the philosophy of work, the idea of work, because work is what gives us purpose in many ways. The work that we do. Yes, this is where we meet lifelong friends. This is what regulates our life. You know, ask the people who retired. You understand? about, for some people, you know, I'm just thinking of one person who got retired, you know. When I say got retired, they retired at the age of retirement. Nobody pushed them out the door, let me get it clear, but they didn't plan for retirement. And so what happens is that they keep coming back to their place of work all the time. They cannot seem to let it go because of that rhythm that they always had. Yes? So we have this view that we must have work-life balance. That is correct. But I like a view that is offered by Jack Delosa. And one of the things that this life coach says, he says that when you think of work-life balance, it positions work as the enemy. So he prefers a term called work-life integration. Yes, it is not about giving so much time to this and giving so much time to that, but looking at your life as a whole so that each part of your life fuels the other. Yes? So work will give purpose to your life and structure and rhythm. Family will give meaning. Exercise will give energy. Yes? So that the different areas of your life are not competing. They are complementing each other. If you're doing work that you don't enjoy, remember, take ownership of your life. If you have work and it's just an attitude issue, then stop seeing work as the enemy, right? And you just thrive in what you do and you make it enjoyable. I tell you, who knows, your PA might reflect that. Yes, your PA might reflect that. Now, a group that I want to introduce you to, they didn't ask me to say this, but it is the truth. Whenever I go to Massy, St. Augustine, Trinidad and Tobago, only I really want the senior citizen discount. I push it for it, but this is the truth. Over the years, this service is excellent. I feel like family. People are often trying to assist. The cashiers are pleasant. Even though they know some of the prices might be too high, they still smile, you know, and they give a little empathic look as they go chi-chink, chi-chink, chi-chink. Yes. If you're looking for something, you could ask somebody. It is always a lovely experience. They didn't ask me to say this. I just like to tell the truth. Stop seeing work as the enemy. All right? And then the last thing I would say, number 5, Tony Ray, here we go. We're bringing it home. We're bringing it home. Before we talk further with those questions, right? Now remember, you put in your questions in the chat. Somebody will read out the question to me, and then I will answer. All right? So don't turn on your mic and everybody try to talk. From what I've seen is 241 plus 10 on this chat. All right, right now. So on this platform right now. So we're doing it with the writing. Okay. All right. So the last one, reinvent family. This one, yes, is one that causes pause and to be sober. All right. Sometimes when we are depressed and we are anxious, it's because we have felt betrayed by family, or because we are weighed down with family responsibilities, or because we have given and we have given and we have given, and then you're not getting it back in return. And there is nothing like blood relatives who could bless you like no other and who could hurt you like no other. Those blood relatives. So I have a view, and you will let me know what you think of my view. I think that God created the ideal conditions for us to survive and thrive, right? So you have a father and you have a mother. If it's ideal, they are together, they love each other, they support each other. You have siblings and they look like you. There is something about being among people who look like you. Yes. And there is that daily living, right? That creates an attachment bond. So when they ask you about next of kin, right? Yes, it's all about these people that love you. That's what we assume. And you get along with. I tell you, family could bless you in a way that nobody else can. But guess what? If at the end of our days, all we have in our inner circle is family, better known as blood relatives, then I think we are going to be unhappy. Yes? Because I think the model of having that attachment bond with people is a model that then spreads out. And as we go about living, people enter our inner circle. These are people we allow in to our inner circle. And these people become family. These are people who would stand with us. These are people that we could share with and trust. These are people, should there be a war, right? Because all of a sudden in our region, we have to consider war. You might be able, according to where they live on the island, to be able to go stay with them, and you all will huddle together, God willing, in safety. Yes? These are people who have your back, but they are not blood relatives. My dear Massy family, my dear Massy family, and look at how I'm calling you Massy family, right? Reinvent family. Yes? Family is not limited to blood relatives. I just think of my dear friend who is fighting that battle with cancer. And she has a circle of friends who are surrounding her and providing support along with her family. Yes? So whatever limitations her family might have, in increasing the circle, she is able to get support. I think of one person who his mother died, his father died, and as a young person, he was growing up in a home. And a woman and her husband who had no children adopted him. And today he has his own IT company. And she has a child looking out for her at age 89. My dear Massy family, even as I call you family, yes, reinvent family. Yes? So let's just rehearse our our 5 tips. All right? Number 1, those 5 strategies for successfully navigating this season. 1, Acknowledge that life is messy and reset expectations. Yes, bad things do happen to good people. All right? Strategy 2, know yourself and accept yourself. Nobody is coming to rescue you as an adult. All right? You have to know yourself. Take ownership of your life. It is your life. Don't make decisions that would bless everybody else, but not you. All right? Stop seeing work as the enemy. Yes. Celebrate it, especially if you love what you do. And then 5, reinvent family. Yes. All right, my dear peeps. This is the point where those questions, let's take them one by one. All right. Thank you so, so much for your attention. Yes. So, Tony Ray, how are we going to do this, dear heart? Oh, number 3. Number 3 was take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your life. Yes. Okay.
Dr. Douglas, thank you so very much for that most inspiring conversation that we just had. I was thinking my hand could not have moved faster enough to take down some of those most interesting points that you mentioned. I was really trying to digest a lot of what was being mentioned, and I'm quite sure it did resonate deeply with a number of persons on this session. So important, what was said. And I really think that we should use this not just at this point of the year, this time of the season, but this is a lifelong lesson that we can really embrace and use as part of our daily lives. A lot has been mentioned, a lot for us to ponder upon, a lot for us to digest. Now, at this point in time, we want to move into the question sessions. I know that my colleague Christian Richards, he would have actually prepared the questions. I know we had some questions that may have come in before the session, so I now pass you on to Christian.
Darren, before you go off, somebody wanted to know what was number 4, and that was stop seeing work as the enemy, right?
Yes.
And 3 was take ownership of your life, correct? Yes. Thanks, Darren.
You're welcome. Christian?
Thanks. Well, we did not receive any questions before the session, and I was waiting to see if we got any in the chat during the session, like people to try. But we do have some statements that were shared. One was from Lisa, who earlier said that very often she thinks that making changes or doing something different. Very often she thinks about making changes or doing something different, but it's only when she actually writes it down that it starts to manifest in action. So it's just a tip that she wanted to share.
Oh, that's wonderful. I firmly agree with that. I love journaling. Yes.
And lower down the line, Suzanne said that she thinks seeking professional help in this season should be normalized so that people could actually get the support that they need.
Right. And Massy has a thriving EAP, so that would be absolutely wonderful. Yes.
Oh, and I'm seeing now that we got some questions afterwards. So Charmaine says she's a mom and she loves all of her kids, but she's struggling to allow them to leave the nest. So she wants to know how she could deal with it.
Oh, and who's that, Charmaine, you said? Who asked the question? Okay. Charmaine, dear heart, I love that question. I love that question. Charmaine, I think one of the things that helps us to allow our children to grow and to develop is a shift in mindset. And the mindset is that your children did not come into the world to bless you alone. All right? You see that wonderful nurture that you've given your children and those wonderful guidelines that allow them to be people you want to stay close to you? it is important that you allow the world to experience that as well. And so, because you, Shami, are not going to live forever, and you will not be around, all of us going to die one day, it's going to be important that you release the children to be able to carry on your legacy, but also to be a blessing in the world. There are enough persons who are not a blessing. So, Charmaine, when you have the good ones, allow them to bless the world. All right? So, shift in mindset, Charmaine. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Okay, we had one coming from Tony. How do you recommend people reset expectations without feeling like they're lowering their standards or giving up?
Now, resetting expectations does not mean that you don't have dreams. Yes? So there is a part of the Bible, forgive me, I'm Christian, that says, without a vision, people perish. So you must have goals and dreams, but those goals and dreams must start off on a platform of reality, or else they would always stay as just some kind of pipe dream. So I am thinking of one person who they used to call him the one who always looking for his ship to come in. That's how they used to call him, his ship always waiting to come in. And this man died unfulfilled because the ship never came in. He could never stay grounded in reality. Yes? So that's the difference we're talking about. You start off on a platform of reality. All right? And then from there, have your vision. And then it is more than likely that it will become possible. So that's what I meant. Yes. Thanks for that question. Yeah.
Another one, and forgive me if I say a name wrong, I believe it's from Finio. At this point, staff will be nervous and customers might run out of patience. How can we deal with that?
Massy St. Augustine, there you have it. Massy St. Augustine, follow their lead. So what they do, I don't even know if they realize this is what they do, but we spoke before about centering yourself before you enter the workplace, right? So we, the ham, remember, all you know what happens when Massy ham at the discounted price comes out. Chaos in the place. I don't go near Massy at that time. All right? Yes? So the thing is that in anticipation of whatever the challenge is, it is important to center yourself because this is your work. It's the same thing I have to do. I am still human and I am still part of the season. I'm not living in the sky. I'm still human. And so I have a job to do. And my job is I'm a clinical psychologist. And so therefore I have to center myself so that I could be of good to the people I walk alongside. It's the same for you. Center yourself and get ready to provide that good service. So at Massy, one of the things they do, Massy St. Augustine, is they look you in the eye when they're talking to you, so you feel like a person. They're very gentle with elderly people. I've noticed that. I don't know if they put me in the category of elderly yet, but, they're very gentle with elderly people. When people ask a question, they take their time in responding. They don't raise their voice at people. So these wonderful strategies, starting with that centering of yourself, continuing with loving what you do and coming ready to be of service makes a big difference. Yeah? Mm-hmm. All right. Christian, you have one more for me?
I have two.
You have two. All right, people,
Um,
this is supposed to end at 12 o'clock, eh? All right, moving right along. Tony, what you said?
11, but you could stay till 12 if you want.
Oh, goodness, 11 o'clock. 11. Let me center myself and stay in the mood. I have something else to do at 12. All right, okay, here we go. 11 o'clock. Christian.
Again, asks, if
Mhm.
attendees can only focus on one strategy this season, which would you recommend and how should they start?
The one that I absolutely love is knowing yourself and accepting yourself. No matter what we do in life, dear people, if we don't start off from a place of knowing you and accepting you, embracing you, loving you, you live in somebody else's life and it becomes chaos. I am an extrovert. I am not an introvert. And so when I see people, I look at the people, I like people, I love people. I have to know that about myself. But if I have to be with people all the time, I get exhausted because, yes. And so I have to move away and I have to get quiet and I have to replenish myself to go back into people again. All right. So I would say, whatever is happening in your life, dear Massy family, it is important. It is important to know yourself and accept yourself. It always starts there. Yes? Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, one from Tanya. What
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give to people who feel isolated and want to build a chosen family during the holidays?
I love that term, chosen family. I love that. Where it's not your blood relatives, but people you choose. Again, it starts out with knowing you. In my inner circle, the people I chose must share my values, must share my values. They must also share my non-negotiables because then you can't be part of my inner circle. Yes? No, they're different personalities. They're not me. They're different personalities. But if it's one thing, I know that we share certain values that we hold on to and we don't negotiate those so that the trust is very, very high. Yes, in my little inner circle. Yes. So when you're starting out, you have to start out again with knowing yourself. You have to know what your values are, and you have to know what are your non-negotiables. And once you know that, you will know the kindred spirits that would be in that inner circle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and well, to wrap up, someone asked if you have a contact that you could share if they want to procure your services in the future.
Oh, bless your fuzzy heart. What you have to do is go through Massy EAP, but also we are Douglas and Associates Limited. Douglas and Associates Limited. So you could check us out online and see who we are. Clinical psychologists, Douglas and Associates Limited. And I am Dr. Diane Douglas. So you could check us out online. But you could go through Massy EAP. They know how to find us. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. So
Great.
Christian,
I see that we're almost out of time. I don't
Okay.
know if
Katrina,
Darren,
yes.
should we hand over to you?
Yes, so thank you so very much, Dr. Douglas. I did have a comment when I know that we are running out of time, and the comment was actually just in line with the most important strategy as recommended that we can embrace out of the 5. So I'll just make a quick comment before we close up, which is that I know you, and you did touch on that actually, with respect to persons. Well, the second point on knowing yourself and accepting yourself, I took a note here that generally speaking, we know that they're not generally true to themselves. And this brings in a big challenge with respect to this particular note. Even our morals, our standards, our values are easily compromised in the time that we're living. No one sticks by those values anymore. So that in itself, to me, persons are easily willing to negotiate. And therefore, it really presents a bit of a challenge on this particular strategy. If in fact, persons are willing to easily give up on things that they have been built to understand and to be, and again, negotiating those values. With values being out the window, morals and standards and ideals no longer exist in the commonplace, in the workplace, whether it be the family life. So obviously, this point on knowing yourself and accepting yourself is something that we need to change. But all in all, this again requires another conversation. I mean, this session has really been, we have to have a part 2 of this session, definitely, because it's a really valuable session, I think, for everyone on this session. And for those who didn't have the opportunity to attend, I hope that next time around, they would be able to attend. So again, just to wrap up, thank you all for joining the session. We hope that you have gained some key insights in dealing with seasonal stress and the practical strategies to manage those anxieties and depression. Remember, feeling stressed or anxious during this time of the year is very common. It's nothing that we can hide from. We know the levels of stress, and we know who we are. We know the impact of stress around this time. And it's important for us to reach out for support as well and practicing self-care and using these strategies we discuss to make a real difference. So again, Dr. Douglas, on behalf of the Wellness and Benefits team and on behalf of the Massy Pulse team, I really want to express my eternal gratitude to you for guiding us through those strategies this morning. So important, so relevant, so applicable, not just at this point in time. I know that we are focusing today, and today being Men's Day as well, International Men's Day. I hope that us men will be able to really take some of these strategies and put into practice. So again, I thank you for your time, for your sharing your experience. Until next time. So Katrina, I'm not sure if you want to say one final word.
No, just thank you to everyone. It's been a wonderful session. Lots of activity happening in the chat. And just to remind everyone that next week we have another session coming up where we're going to be learning about the Massy Gas portfolio and all of the exciting work that they're working on across their region. So please join in for that. But thank you and have a great day, everyone.
Same to you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
Dr. Douglas.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
very
everyone.
welcome.
Take care.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
guys.